And y'all just let me know when everybody's ready. Good to go. All right. Thank you for coming. So far things are rocking and rolling. On the ride early this morning in the bitter cold, one thing ran through my head. Why are we even here? That's the biggest question. Why are we here? Obviously, Officer Moreno does have a constitutional right to the presumption of innocent until proven guilty. I respect the Constitution. That's one reason why I'm involved. And it's great to see that Officer Moreno respects his own constitutional rights. We just wish that he was willing to respect the constitutional rights of Travis Price before he assaulted him. I think we have a solid jury. I think that the process is flowing. But it wasn't July? And we were here and Officer Moreno talked about, I'm sorry. He talked about accountability, and he was there to accept accountability, and he apologized to the other officers in the agency and in the community and things of that nature. And why are we here? So we're going to see what happens. Travis is in good spirits. I was sitting by his mother, and she started to tear up a bit watching the video of what happened and watching what Travis went through, which is hard for any mom. And some people think that bad interactions with law enforcement are only difficult for people when somebody dies or when somebody gets shot or when you have to have a funeral. And that's not the case. It's tough for minorities in particular to watch things happen like what happened to Travis, particularly minority males, because when I look at Travis, I see myself. I see young, I see hardworking, I see innocent, I see family man, I see someone with no criminal record, and I see him choked, slammed, face pushed into the concrete. I see an officer yell, "Fight me, fight me, fight me, fight me, fight me." It's tough when you can see yourself in that position, but it's tough for anybody who respects citizens' rights to be free from certain things. Just because you're the police, you're not God. And I think Officer Moreno had a God complex that day. And we're just going to see what happens. I believe in the process. I believe in accountability. I believe in justice. And I believe that the jury will be able to see all the evidence that's presented. I think that they will listen to the arguments of the prosecution. They'll listen to the arguments of the defense, and at the end of the day, they will reach the conclusion that we all know, which is out of the two main people involved here, only one of them was right that day. Now that's Mr. Travis Price. So with that said, happy to answer any questions.
How do you think Travis did on the stand this morning?
I'm proud of him, Bo. I ain't gonna lie to you. It's uncomfortable position to be in. It's enough that you dealt with the police on the scene and things went left, but then you have to sit and be man enough to accept an apology, right? When one man apologizes to another, you should accept that because it takes a lot for a man to apologize. But then to have to fast forward and now your life is disrupted even more because you got to sit in at a trial and testify because the officer says, "Hey, I'm not guilty. I didn't do it." But I think he did a stellar job. Told the truth. What more can you ask somebody?
How will this trial impact the civil litigation? How will the outcome of this trial impact the civil?
It won't. The civil side is completely separate. And it was it was funny. There was a question asked. I'm not going to get into it, but the civil side, accountability on the civil side is one thing. This is about someone who broke the law being held accountable under the system like anybody else. And Dude, like my dad is a sheriff. My brother is a law enforcement officer. Okay, it's not fun to. Some people think I love beating on the police, or you know, no one enjoys that. It's a necessary thing because accountability matters. Do your job. You know, if you're worried about your safety, right? There's a lot of that. You know, worried about officer safety, officer safety. Doesn't mean you just get to go abuse people, even if you are worried about officer safety. There's a proper way to handle it, you know. And yeah, no, this is just the beginning of justice, but it is an important step towards injustice.
You mentioned that his mom was tearing up, and I saw her shaking her head at one point. Was this the first time she really saw that video that was released?
No, she's looked at it. You know, but remember, she's sitting there and her son is on the stand, and she loves her kids, you know, and to sit there and your son has to testify about what he experienced and to listen to him describe what he went through to a jury, and then, you know, to have to sit there and watch defense lawyer do their job, which they are doing, and cross-examine him is tough. Is very tough for her. Andy?
I have a question. It was said in open court that the police department of Homeland Security agents involved in the traffic stop and the incident had the authority to defy state court subpoenas and not appear today in which a person is trying to have justice done, a person. In your federal lawsuit, first of all, give us your opinion on that. And second of all, in your federal lawsuit, since it's filed in the federal court, can you demand that DHS be a part of your suit?
Yeah, so the power of the federal government, you know, the fact that, you know, they can be involved in an incident involving a citizen. Last time I checked, Travis Price also was a citizen of the United States of America. And, you know, the fact that they can basically say, you know, we can come arrest the citizens and we can come put hands on the citizens and we can participate with local police and participate with Moreno doing it. But when it comes time to come to court because the citizen's the victim, they can just say to hell with you and not come. I have my thoughts on that. I guess the biggest question is how the other citizens in South Carolina and America feel about that. But I mean,
Make the question then that should DHS even be involved in these kinds of cases and arrests, and does there need to be a clear division between what's local business and what's federal business?
yeah, I think absolutely that. You know, and I would hope that at least for the city of Rock Hill and York County, they're looking at that. You know, the fact that if you can work a joint operation with these officers, and then they just not participate and leave you out there in the wind or whatever may have you that's a very, very big deal. And I
Have to call to either back up your client's position or not.
correct. Well, it doesn't whether it's the citizen who's the victim or the officer who's the victim. If they have the freedom to just say we're not going to participate, due diligence is you should consider that before you make the decision about whether you'll work with them anymore. Now in the federal civil side of things, and we are still looking at a lot of different aspects. We have some things pending, and we're still looking at whether or not we're going to bring them into the lawsuit at this point. So that's a constant revolving door. There's still new information coming out, and we're going to look at all angles. But yeah, I mean it's disappointing. It's disappointing that federal agents who actively participated, and then my client is here in court trying to be vindicated as a victim of a crime, and they just say we don't care. That hurts a little bit. You know, Travis pays his taxes. He said he works at a chemical plant. His taxes help pay people's salaries, and then they don't want to show up and participate. It's like a slap in the face. It is.
What are your thoughts about the defense narrative that Ronaldo didn't know, didn't ignorant, that ignorant?
If I walk into a bar and I slap, boom, somebody on the butt thinking it's my girl, but it's yours, does that give me the right to do it? Because I'm mistaken? Absolutely not. You know, and the fact that he comes up and says, I didn't know this, I didn't know that. Ignorance is not bliss under the letter of the law. Um, you know, as a citizen, I just think, I mean, try that. You know, I'm sorry, officer, I didn't know that I couldn't go 95 in a 70. You going home with a ticket. It's not about whether he knew or didn't know, in my opinion. I think that this is about whether or not he had a right or not to touch Travis, and not just touch him. You know, even if you give the benefit of the doubt and it's I didn't know at the time, I wanted to back you up. Watch the video. It doesn't stop there. It's push, push, push. It's, hey, both hands up. It's jury, it's cell phone, it's officer said I could do this. Now you're against the propane tank. Then it's on the ground. Then it's hands behind your back. Then it's fight me, fight me, fight me. Then it's dog will bite you if you move. All of these things constitute assault and battery if Travis did not consent to being touched. So I think it's smoke and mirrors. You know, but the defense is going to do the best job they can do for their client. As a lawyer, I respect that 150%, but I think that the jury will be able to see through it.
I want to specifically ask about the defense saying that he was essentially trying to protect himself, protect the citizens at the gas station or the convenience store, protect his fellow officers. What's your opinion on that specifically, given what you know, what the video shows?
There's nothing wrong with an officer wanting to protect other officers or protect the public, right? Or protect people. That's what we want out of our police, right? But you can't go do what he did to innocent people. This whole situation, if you're that afraid of a 33-year-old black man standing still, maybe you need to rethink your career, right? Can't be a firefighter and arrive on scene and there's a house ablaze and be that terrified that you're willing to hurt an innocent person, right? It doesn't work, you know. So Travis was doing absolutely nothing. It's one thing if he's jumping around, if he's grabbing an officer, if he's moving towards the officer. He was doing nothing but standing still. And I am sorry. This is not the 1900s anymore, okay? Cops shouldn't just be afraid of citizens. You have a dangerous job, okay? Every police officer's job is very dangerous. Things can happen in a split second. But that also comes with some of the territory, right? You never want to see an officer hurt, never. But you never want to see an innocent citizen hurt either. And this whole thing could have been avoided if someone had just wanted to ask one question, like Travis testified, all aggressive. Everything's aggressive. What stopped Moreno from walking up and saying, "Excuse me, can you back up a little bit? What are you doing here?" Instead, he instantly went hands-on, right? Which is, it's very well indicative of, you know, just militarized policing, for lack of better words, right? You know, it's militarized. It's, look at the gear of the federal guys who are out there. It's kind of like, reminds me of Army military stuff, you know, and with that comes certain attitudes. But the fact that you can have officers on scene who don't act like that just shows it's possible. Moreno just wanted to act the way that Moreno wanted to act.
I have one more question. I know you mentioned that the jury, you were pretty content with the people on the jury. I just want to ask if you have any comment on there only being one black juror.
You know, I think there was one minority who was struck in the beginning, and then one on. I have full faith in this jury. I honestly do. You You know, we talk about jury duty in South Carolina, whether it be magistrate's court or state court. There's a lot that goes into that. It's how many people get called for jury duty, how many actually show up. But I personally, I'm comfortable with the jury, and I trust that. This case transitions color lines, sex lines, etc. You know, the facts are the facts here, and if you can look at everything, law and order, right and wrong, I think that even a person with their eyes closed could see that Travis was done wrong and look at the facts and know what should happen here today. I'll take one more question and then we good. Anybody? All right. Thank y'all so very much.